Okay, so I just wanted to give an update about fasting because I have been fasting this fall more. Every particular day a week, I fast that day every, at least sun up to sundown. And then sometimes I have just gone the whole night until the next morning. So like a 24-hour fast, 18-hour fast, sometimes just a 12-hour fast. But I try to just keep in the spirit of fasting on this particular day. And it's today. So, usually on Mondays is when I fast. And I just wanted to give a couple of reasons why and updates about how I feel about it while it's, like fresh in my mind and I'm new. I'm not even new to fasting. Like, I had fasted when I was young, but it was more because our church sort of made us, or like my mom sort of encouraged us to. So that was good. I don't know that it was completely of my own free will or desire, or I really understood it, but I did try to fast, and I did, it was pretty much that I can remember I was honest about it. I wouldn't like sneak food and then try to pull it off as if I was fasting. I would really stick to it. And even when I got older in my 20s, I can recall certain times, like a big decision I had to make, I would pray and fast about it. And that's cool. So, yeah, I feel like definitely the times I prayed in deep, earnest prayer and added fasting, like I got a more clear answer, a safe answer / the right answer. And when I didn't, and I tried to do it of my own accord and my own doing, like more failure. So I'm just going to read. This is in Matthew 17, and this is again also in Mark 9. But this is where I started thinking about, okay, so I'm trying to fast for others, especially new believers or newer Christians that I speak to, or just friends and family that are going through a lot. I just try to remember to fast for them as well. And so I figured as I'm doing this for others, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. And then I came across a passage about Jesus telling his disciples that this certain kind of demon could only be cast out by prayer and fasting. And so it just made me think, like, okay, so if the worst demon, can only be cast out by prayer and fasting, I better be doing that. And this is the story that is told about that. It's in Matthew 17:14 through 21. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. Oft times he falleth into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart, and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind, he means the demon, this kind goeth out not by prayer. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting. So I definitely decided, I should be praying and fasting. So I started fasting a couple months ago, and the first day was just horrible for me because I don't know, like I was just so unused to it. And I skip meals. Like I admit that I don't always have time or the patience to eat a meal, and I will skip meals. But when you can eat, you choose not to, that's one thing. But like choosing not to, and then like knowing you have to stick with it, fasting, not eating, like for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours all day is what I do. So I'm like, wow, the Bible says that a certain kind of demon can only come out by doing this. And so I start doing it, and hey, come here. Come in the video. Come here. Come here. You're all lonely over there? My. Okay, so I start, my first day is so difficult. I think I was at home all day. So I knew that I could just go into the kitchen and make food, and I started thinking of all these delicious things I wanted to eat, and it was just really vexing on me. It was hard for me. It was like, whoa, I wasn't probably even in the right spirit. You're not supposed to be thinking about hunger, and you're supposed to be thinking about God and praying and like being okay with this fast. I mean, I think, but I wasn't, and I knew that. I wasn't like, oh, I'm so great, look at me. I was like, oh man, I'm really struggling with this. The second time I fasted, and real quickly after that first day, it really stuck out to me because I can start to get kind of picky, like when we're poor-ish and don't have a lot of money for food. I can start feeling like the same thing over and over again gets annoying, and like I just get kind of like more hungry. Well, fasting is interesting because then when you can have no food, all of a sudden you're like, oh, what I would give for just like a sandwich, a grilled cheese sandwich, or a bowl of cereal, or whatever, you're like just really hungry. And food becomes more important to you, like at least gratitude-wise for me. It wasn't just something I think, okay, well, there's always food, because in America, most of us, even if we have to go to a food line or a food bank, there's still food available for us, and food's still relatively cheap, and it's in abundance, and, we don't even, poorer people don't have to struggle as much as a lot of other countries in the world. And so even myself, it was very humbling. Like, fasting for me did more for me than it did for anything else. I think it was so nice to just be more thankful for food and get up the next day, and like I made myself a bowl of pasta in the morning, and I was just like more thankful. And I liked that. And I liked that, so if I'm fasting for other people and my own little family unit as well, always, like, I'm fasting for people that I know need extra care and attention and prayer and fasting. So, doing that for them is like, it's also very humbling. And I just found myself enjoying it more. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still hungry at times, and I still like think I get more hungry knowing I can't have this food, but I'm learning. My body's learning to be patient, and I'm just learning to fast. And so I would encourage others, I guess, by saying that, Jesus wouldn't tell us to do it if it wasn't so important. And medically and physically speaking, ask certain doctors and certain other professions, they will tell you that fasting is like medically awesome for your body. You need to be cleansed. You don't need to always just be stuffing food down your face. Like, you need time to digest and to clear out your body, like, like a car that gets an oil change, and you have to, kind of flush out the bad and start with new. Anyways, so if you're always compacting food upon food and never have time to digest it, like, fully and completely with a fast, I think just fasting all around, God knows what we need. And in the sense of why exactly it casts out demons, I think that people just, food is life. If you're eating, you're living. And to give that up for someone else or something that you really need, a job, or to know if this is the right person to marry, or just something that you need, you're denying yourself life in a sense, for a certain period of time. Why is it prayer and fasting? I don't know exactly, but I would just assume that it's sacrifice. It's, giving a sacrifice. And if Jesus says it, I'm going to do it. So that's, like I guess my summary of fasting, it's great. It's kind of difficult. So what? It's worth it. Anything worth it is usually kind of difficult. So I would just say to even the busy moms out there, and you don't think you have time, but if you can set one day a week, one day a month to fast for your family and for the things you need, and to cast out devils and evil from your life, from your children, from your, just why not? So that's my opinion. And I hope that as I continue to fast and see more of like God's glory and benefits in it, I will share more videos. And this is just sort of my update and my beginning walk of even consciously doing more fasting, doing it more often and with more purpose and vigor and determination.